My father forced me to marry a vegetative wife because my stepmother and father wanted to take away my $3 billion. Lin Tao stood on the busy street. The oppressive feeling in his chest made it almost impossible for him to breathe, and his mind was in chaos. Once upon a time, he was the only son of the Lin family and was doted on, but he never thought that today his father would force him to marry a vegetative wife. He originally lived a life of great love and care, but since his mother died unexpectedly, his father married a stepmother, and the stepson brought by his stepmother quickly won his father's favor. Since then, his father's attitude towards Lin Tao has become increasingly cold, and he has become more and more fond of his stepson. Lin Tao, you are such a rebellious son. You pushed my brother down the stairs and made me too embarrassed to face anyone. Do you know what to do now? This was not the first time Lin Tao had heard his father's angry scolding. In fact, this was the 7th time. Each time, it was a trap carefully designed by his stepson with only one purpose: to drive Lin Tao out of the house and inherit the family property. And each time, Lin Tao tried to defend himself and resist, but his father never believed him and even regarded him as the only culprit. However, things were far more complicated than Lin Tao had imagined. Susan was once the dream woman of countless men. Not only was she naturally beautiful, she also had amazing business talent. But in a sudden accident, she became a vegetable. Originally, Susan was engaged to her stepson, but after learning that she had become a vegetable, her stepson made a suggestion that Lin Tao could not refuse. Let Lin Tao marry Susan and become the Su family's son-in-law in exchange for a huge amount of financing for his father's company. Lin Tao thought he could refuse, but his father actually agreed to the proposal and told him clearly, "If you don't agree, I will sever the father-son relationship with you." His mother had passed away, and his father was his only relative. However, his father's demands left him powerless to resist. Lin Tao had a vague feeling that his mother's death was not an accident, but he could not find any evidence. Therefore, he decided not to sever ties with his father for the time being, and decided to take advantage of this opportunity to recover the shares that belonged to his mother. In the end, he agreed to this undignified marriage, marrying a vegetative wife. As the son-in-law of the Su family, Lin Tao not only became the laughingstock of the whole city, but also was quickly pushed to the forefront under the manipulation of his stepson. Susan used to be a woman that many men could not reach, but now she has become a vegetable. Who would be willing to marry her? What's even more ironic is that Lin Tao actually married into the Su family as a fallen woman. However, in his opinion, this was his only choice. Lin Tao was determined to treat his sleeping wife well. "Susan, I'll take care of you." Lin Tao gently held her cold hand and said to himself, "This is not just for system points, but also because I hope you can stand up again and stand in front of everyone, so that they can see that you shouldn't be a vegetable." He whispered to her, his voice full of determination, as if all this was not accidental, but a mission in his heart. However, Susan was not as ignorant as Lin Tao imagined. Although she was already a vegetable, she was still able to perceive everything in the outside world. She could hear every word Lin Tao said and could sense his subtle emotional changes. She once thought that Lin Tao must have some hidden purpose in agreeing to marry into the Su family. "Lin Tao, you dare to play with me?" She thought to herself. If she could wake up one day, she would never let this man have an easy time. However, the course of events was far beyond her expectations. As time went by, Susan found herself developing feelings for Lin Tao. She never thought that she would fall in love with this man whom she once regarded as a tool. However, things are not as simple as Lin Tao imagined. When he stepped into the Su family and held Susan's hand, the gears of the story began to turn crazily. Was he using Susan to turn things around, or was he really in love with her? What kind of disaster will the Lin family suffer because of his departure? What unimaginable secrets are hidden behind all this? Hi everyone, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If you like this story, please share and let me know in the comments section. I will update the part 11. In the crisis-ridden Bujiang town, Su Fan stood proudly and faced Jiang Yangping's provocation. Han Xinxiao cried beside her, "Su Fan, you have to be careful. If the situation is not right, run away. I know you love me deeply, so don't be stupid for me." Su Fan had no regard for this inexplicably confident woman. He ignored it and walked straight towards the restaurant among the ruins. Jiang Yangping was like a blood demon descending from the world, his red eyes flashing. He stood up and looked at Su Fan. A sense of inexplicable uneasiness surged in his heart. "Who are you?" he roared. Su Fan sneered in response. You started a fight to the death, but didn't know who am I? I'm afraid your reputation as a disciple killer is just a cover. Gathering warriors together is your real ambition." After saying that, Su Fan's aura surged, as if he had 1,000 pounds of strength. Jiang Yongping became angry and shouted blood shadows all over the sky. In an instant, blood light blocked the sun, and 5 blood shadows pounced on Su Fan like ghosts. Su Fan was not afraid. He used the Tiangang Divine Shield to protect his body and took the fierce attack head-on. Although he was knocked back a step, he was unharmed. Jiang Yongping was shocked and attacked again. The blood, evil mad dragon roared out as if to devour Su Fan. However, Su Fan was like a god descending from heaven. He punched the mountains and rivers and smashed the mad dragon with one punch. The remaining power even knocked Jiang Yongping away. Everyone thought that Su Fan had a sure win, but Jiang Yongping vomited blood, causing a blood explosion. Although Su Fan was prepared, he was also blown into a mess. When he walked out of the ruins, his eyes were full of solemnity. Jiang Yongping did not dare to underestimate him, and the two sides engaged in a fierce battle again. At this time, Guangshi admired Su Fan very much and believed that he was following a true hero. Han Xinxiao was even more fanciful, thinking that Su Fan fought for her and she would be able to rule the country in the future. After a long time of attack, Jiang Yongping used the blood-burning technique to instantly increase his strength. However, Su Fan remained calm and rushed forward. Taking advantage of Su Fan's unpreparedness, Jiang Yongping used the Blood Soul Shock and Bloodthirsty technique in an attempt to drain Su Fan's internal strength. But Su Fan's internal strength was as solid as a rock, and Jiang Yongping gained nothing and was knocked back by Su Fan's punch. Su Fan mocked, "You are a shady person, and you will never achieve anything great. You are not worthy of being my opponent." Jiang Yongping was furious and drew out the red flame burning heart sword, with flames surging as if to turn Su Fan into ashes. Su Fan's body was as fast as lightning, dodging easily, and occasionally fighting back with palm wind and fist light. Jiang Yongping's attack became more and more fierce, but Su Fan responded with ease, even fighting against the magic sword with his bare hands. Just when Jiang Yongping thought he could subdue Su Fan suddenly shouted, turned defense into offense, and attacked Jiang Yongping like a ghost. Jiang Yongping was horrified to find that he could not resist, and the blood-burning technique was about to expire. Although he was unwilling, he had to give up. But how could Su Fan let him escape so easily? A thrilling chase and counterattack is about to begin. D479 Dong, don't bully the elderly and the poor. In Bujiang Town, a Grandmaster showdown that shakes the world is taking place. The warriors who had previously scattered like birds and beasts were attracted by Su Fan's bravery and showed up one after another, watching this legendary battle from afar. These two are simply inhuman. The young master can actually fight Jiang Yongping across 2 realms and still have the upper hand. It's simply against the will of heaven. Master Su will be famous all over the world after this battle, and everyone in the martial arts world will know him. Everyone was amazed. In their eyes, Su Fan and Jiang Yongping seemed to have transcended ordinary people. Their every move changed the situation in Bujiangwan. Ordinary people were so shocked that their eyes almost popped out of their heads, and their worldview was completely overturned. The wealthy nobles were also horrified, having originally thought that warriors were just like those in TV dramas, but now they knew they were totally wrong. The shock of this duel far exceeds the special effects of the Avengers blockbuster movies. The two seemed to have the ability to turn the world upside down. Who dares to treat them as ordinary people? Many people were in awe of Su Fan, and some even tried to curry favor with him. The Han family father and daughter were the most proud of them. Han Jingyang was a villain who succeeded, while Han Xinxiao was smug about her ability to choose men, and she also mocked the Amei female disciples for being useless in martial arts and not being better off trying to please men. Jiang Yongping was in an abyss at this moment. He had no time to care about his face after the defeat, because he was in a desperate situation. As the time limit of the blood-burning technique expired, he was blasted away by Su Fan again, and his aura plummeted, falling from the peak of the Grandmaster to the bottom of the valley. He knew that it was difficult to change the situation, and that continuing to fight would only lead to death. Su Fan stood on the ruins and sneered. "Jiang Yongping, you are no good at this? The power of evil ways is really unreliable." Although Jiang Yongping was so angry that his veins popped out, He also knew that it was useless to argue at this moment. He just wanted to escape quickly and wait for revenge in the future. Just as Jiang Yangping was preparing to fight his way out, the sky suddenly changed, dark clouds rolled in, and a mysterious light pierced the center of the battlefield like a sharp sword. In the light, an ancient and majestic voice could be heard. Today's battle ends here. Everyone was shocked. Chapter 480 Su Fan. Give me back my sister. Give me back my sister. On the battlefield of Bujiang Town, Jiang Yangping saw that the situation was hopeless and tried to provoke the enemy to survive. He shouted hoarsely, "Boy, you win, but don't be complacent. I will return the humiliation today 100-fold. 30 years in the East, 30 years in the West. Don't bully the old and poor. Do you dare to make a 3-year agreement with me and fight again in 3 years?" Su Fan had a stern expression on his face, and his words made Jiang Yangping feel confused. "Give me back my sister." Jiang Yangping was stunned, with question marks all over his head. Before he could figure it out, Su Fan had lifted up a huge stone pillar and smashed it like a cannonball, roaring, "Give my girl back to me!" With a puff, Jiang Yangping, who was already seriously injured, vomited blood and flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. Jiang Yangping in midair was feeling aggrieved. Young people have no martial ethics. You're still fighting me even though I surrendered? And who is your sister? Su Fan ignored him and just repeated coldly, "Old man, give me my sister back." Jiang Yangping ran away in a panic while complaining in his heart. He was a big shot in the martial arts world. He wanted to come here to improve his cultivation, but was disrupted by Su Fan, this evildoer. At this moment, he was in rags and had no image at all. How could he still be as majestic as before? "Kid, don't go too far. I don't even know your sister." Jiang Yangping shouted at the top of his lungs, his voice breaking. But the only response he got was Su Fan's even more violent blows. Jiang Yangping was so angry that he was shaking all over, but he didn't dare to stop, and he only wanted to get into the forest to get rid of Su Fan. Su Fan's eyes were red, and he swung the stone pillar vigorously, shouting, "Give my sister back." In his heart, Jiang Yangping should bear at least 95% of the responsibility for his sister's disappearance. After all, he was the one who organized this ring match. In Bujiang Town, everyone watched this bizarre scene. The famous Jiang Yangping was like a stray dog, being chased and beaten by a young man. They were all shocked with their mouths wide open. At this time, the Suzaku warrior arrived. She wanted to lure the tiger away from the mountain to buy a chance for the survivors. But when she saw the corpses all over the ground, she was furious at Jiang Yangping's evil deeds. Just as she was suppressing her anger, she heard a voice coming from the corner. "Old man, give my sister back. TM, dead sister control. I will give your sister back." The Suzaku warrior turned around and was stunned. Jiang Yangping had a miserable look on his face. His clothes were tattered like a beggar. His hair was messy like a chicken coop, and he had lost all his former elegance. Behind him, Su Fan was like a god of war, waving a stone pillar and chasing after him. Jiang Yangping saw the Suzaku general as if he saw a savior and shouted, "Save me." However, the Suzaku general was hesitant. Su Fan didn't look easy to mess with. How should she choose? Should she help Jiang Yangping fight against Su Fan, or take the opportunity to capture Jiang Yangping? When Su Fan saw the vermilion bird warrior, a hint of vigilance flashed in his eyes, and he held the stone pillar in his hand tighter. A new variable was about to unfold. Where would this chaotic situation go? Chapter 481 Lin Tao as crisis? "Don't come over here." "Oh my." General Suzuka's eyes widened and he rubbed them vigorously, saying in his heart that he couldn't believe it, as if he had fallen into an extremely absurd fantasy. Jiang Yangping, who had been feared by all for decades, was now fleeing in a panic like a stray dog, and was being chased and beaten by a young man like a madman. This scene was too shocking. "Boy, you are going too far." Jiang Yangping yelled at the top of his lungs, his voice like thunder, shaking the leaves on the street to fall. "I am only 80 years old, still young. I will make you pay back today's humiliation 100-fold in the future. If I don't take revenge, I will not be a human being. Don't bully the old and poor." But Su Fan's face was as cold as ice. His eyes were as firm as a rock. He pressed forward step by step and kept muttering, "Give me back my sister." Jiang Yangping was so depressed he still couldn't figure out who this sister was, but he knew in his heart that if he didn't get rid of Su Fan, he would lose his life. Well, Jiang Yangping gritted his teeth and decided to fight, even if his injuries worsened. He formed seals with his hands so fast that after images were left, chanted a spell like a machine gun, and then shouted, "Blood-burning technique. Blood escape." In an instant, his meridians were throbbing, his blood vessels were like earthworms. Blood was gushing out like crazy. A thick blood mist wrapped him tightly. The bloody smell made people feel sick. Then, with a whoosh, he turned into a crooked streak of blood light and disappeared in the blink of an eye, like a rabbit being chased by a dog. Su Fan was so angry that he smashed the stone pillar to the ground. With a bang, the ground shook 3 times. "Humph, you are fast." After a while, Su Fan saw the Shizuka general, frowned, and said coldly, "Who are you?" "You were sneaking around." The Shizuka general had just recovered from his shock and hadn't replied yet. A burst of hurried footsteps was heard from behind, and a dozen soldiers ran over, saluted General Shizuku with a standard military salute, and shouted, "General Shizuka." When Su Fan heard this, his heart moved, and he thought of the dead General White Tiger. Oh, it turned out that this red-haired woman was also one of the 4 generals under the command of the god of war. Su Fan knew about Yi Junlin, the national god of war. His master praised him a lot, saying that he was a martial arts genius like himself. But Su Fan was not convinced. He thought to himself, "Humph, I must be the number 1 in martial arts. Who can take it away from me?" After a while, General Shizuka heard the soldier's story of Su Fan's heroic deeds and hurriedly thanked him. "Mr. Su, thanks to you for saving the people in the town." Su Fan, however, looked indifferent and put his hands in his pockets. "Don't be sentimental. I'm doing this for personal revenge. It has nothing to do with saving people." General Shizuka smiled awkwardly, thinking that if it were someone else, they would have taken action long ago. But she didn't dare to offend this fierce man. Suddenly, General Shizuku seemed to think of something. Her pupils shrank, and the 3 words Tiansha Palace popped up in her mind. Looking at Jiang Yangping again, he had fled to the forest in the suburbs of Magic City, leaning against a big tree. He looked so miserable. He was struggling to breathe. His face was as pale as a dead leaf, and his eye sockets were sunken. "The meridians in my body are broken like burnt vines." His internal organs felt like being cut by a knife, and the pain made him sweat profusely. Because of the forced use of the blood-burning technique and blood escape, the sequelae almost tortured him to death. The hatred in his heart was surging, and he gritted his teeth and said, "I swear I will not be a human being if I don't take revenge. When I find out who that sister is, I will break her neck and let that kid taste the taste of offending me." As he was talking, he heard voices not far away. Jiang Yangping's eyes lit up, and he showed his cold white teeth. He knew that these were the people who escaped from Bujiang Town. Now, to him, they were all lambs that he could suck blood to recover. Soon, screams came one after another in the forest. At this time, a handsome man who could be described in any kind of good words heard the screams, looked up in confusion, and muttered, "Huh, what's going on? What's that sound? Who is this man? What is his connection with this chaos?" Chapter 482. In the quiet forest, the handsome Lin Tao raised his head in confusion and muttered to himself, What's that sound?" His handsome face was full of confusion. Just now, he seemed to hear faint screams, but when he listened attentively, he only heard birds and cicadas. "Oh, am I hallucinating? Ever since my weak wife disappeared, I've been going crazy. That old fellow, Jiang Yangping. If he hadn't started that fight to the death, would my wife have been lost? Next time I see him, I'll beat him up." Lin Tao gritted his teeth in anger, blaming all the faults on Jiang Yangping, trying to comfort his guilty heart. In fact, he knew in his heart that he had relied on his foresight and the sticking system and was too arrogant and careless. If he had been more cautious, this disaster might have been avoided. Now, he just wanted to go home quickly to receive the inheritance of the drunken sword immortal. He secretly vowed to protect his wife. "All right, I need a sword. The drunken swordsman cannot live without a sword. There are quite a few swords in the system all, but the points are incredibly expensive. Xinyuan sword, Etian sword. Which one should I choose?" Lin Tao was struggling. "Help!" A man covered in blood and screaming in terror rushed out from the jungle ahead. Seeing Lin Tao, the man's eyes lit up and he shouted, "Brother, I'm sorry." Then he slammed into Lin Tao, knocked him down, and fled in panic. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Just when the man thought he could escape, a fiery red ancient sword flew out from the depths of the jungle and pierced his body in an instant. "I won't give up." The man fell to the ground and died. Lin Tao stood up and looked at the corpse, and became more eager to receive the inheritance. He knew that the bodies of ordinary people were too fragile. If the other party was a warrior with murderous intentions, he might not be able to save his life. At this time, footsteps were heard. Lin Tao turned around and saw Jiang Yangping walking towards him with red eyes and murderous aura. You! Hello! Jiang Yangping sneered. He thought Lin Tao would run away in fear like those people before, but he didn't expect that. You old thing. How dare you show up? If it weren't for you, would my wife have disappeared? Give me back my wife. Lin Tao's eyes were wide open. He rolled up his sleeves and walked towards Jiang Yangping without any fear. Jiang Yangping was confused and kept wondering in his heart. Is this kid crazy, or does he not know who I am? But he couldn't figure it out. If he didn't know himself, why did he want a wife? This reminded him of Su Fan, and he was immediately furious. Boy, you reminded me of a nasty guy. Go to hell. Jiang Yangping rushed towards Lin Tao like a ghost, trying to break his neck. Lin Tao, on the other hand, had a solemn expression, showing no fear at all. He raised his head and shouted, Secret, 100% barehanded slap. Slapping is better than palm strike. As soon as this strange move was used. Chapter 483. Tai Tai by Do Zhang. Lin Tao resisted without fear. Jiang Yangping sneered. In his eyes, Lin Tao was just a dying ant. With the arrogance of looking down on ants, he took the initiative to put his face close to Lin Tao's palm, determined to let Lin Tao feel the gap between God and mortal. But in an instant, he realized that this move was inappropriate, and it was too late to shrink his head. Bang! Lin Tao slapped Jiang Yangping in the face with all his strength and complained, Fuck, you old man are so shameless. I slapped you in the face, but the pain is in my hand. Jiang Yangping was stunned on the spot, unable to believe that he was slapped by a mortal. The sense of superiority he had grown up with collapsed instantly. He was so angry that his whole body trembled, and he roared, You little bastard! How dare you hit me? How dare you? How dare you? Lin Tao was not in a hurry and shouted again, Look at me. I'm going to slap you. Come and take my slap. Jiang Yangping wanted to smack Lin Tao's head, but his body moved uncontrollably to his face. Snap! Another loud slap. Jiang Yangping was shocked and angry, and suspected that Lin Tao had used some evil means such as hypnosis or poison gas. Lin Tao said with a smile, Don't worry, there's more. Tai Tai by Do Lianhuanzhang. To the face. He swung his right hand like lightning, and more than a dozen big by Do slapped Jiang Yangping's face. Jiang Yangping was completely furious, picked up a huge rock, and smashed it. He felt that Lin Tao's strange method had a distance limit. However, Lin Tao activated the mirror skill for the second time, and his temperament suddenly changed. He was as calm as if his brother-in-law was possessed, like an ant. He turned his palm into a knife, released his internal strength, and actually split the boulder in half. Jiang Yangping was stunned, full of doubts. Why did Lin Tao, who was just an ordinary person, suddenly have a soaring aura and entered the Grandmaster realm? Chapter 484. Who are you? How could you enter the Grandmaster realm in an instant? And what about the magic just now? Are you a human? Are you a human? Jiang Yangping asked Lin Tao with eyes wide open, shocked. This powerful man who had been in the martial arts world for 80 years was also shrouded in anxiety and fear at this moment, because Lin Tao's change was too bizarre, as if it was a fairy tale. Give me back my wife. Lin Tao ignored Jiang Yangping's roar and uttered these 4 words indifferently. Jiang Yangping was instantly like an ignited gunpowder barrel. Su Fan's figure appeared in his mind, and the similar feeling made him almost confused. It's impossible. There can't be 2 identical leaves in this world, let alone people. It's a trick. It must be a trick. He forced himself to comfort himself and then rushed towards Lin Tao frantically. However, Lin Tao's body was as fast as lightning, and he kicked Jiang Yangping in the face with a supreme fast drag. Jiang Yangping flew backwards, his heart full of astonishment. This attack method seemed familiar. He was sure that Lin Tao had master-level skills. What was even more strange was that his moves were exactly the same as that of the little monster. If it weren't for the different appearance, they would be the same person. Jiang Yangping was confused, and his reason told him that he had to escape. Boy, I admit that I can't beat you now, but don't get too cocky. I'm already injured. How can you bully an injured old man like me? It's not fair to win. As the saying goes, things change over time. Don't bully the poor old man. I will make you pay back 100-fold for today's humiliation. If you don't believe me, then let me go and recover from my injuries. We will make a 3-year agreement. 3 years later, we will fight again here? What do you think? Zhang Yangping worked hard to provoke him, feeling that he had a sure win. But when he turned around to leave, Lin Tao said expressionlessly, "Give me back my wife." Zhang Yangping was stunned. This familiar way of asking for something made him at a loss. Before he could come to his senses, Lin Tao pulled up a huge old tree like Lu Zhishan and shouted angrily, "Give me back my wife." The old tree smashed towards Zhang Yangping with great force, and his already seriously injured chest was hit again. Blood spurted out, and the whole person flew backwards like a kite with a broken string. Zhang Yangping felt very aggrieved. This was the second time he was hit in the same place today, and his ribs were probably all broken. Lin Tao's mysterious identity and power, as well as the hidden story behind his persistence in asking for a wife, were all like a thick fog. Chapter 485. Zhang Yangping barely managed to stop flying backwards after hitting several large trees. He clutched his dented chest with both hands, sweat pouring down his face, blood gushing out of his mouth, and he struggled to get up, the pain overwhelming him like a tide. Asshole, how come all the young men nowadays have no moral principles? Do you know what it means to respect the old and love the young? I surrendered and showed weakness, but you still beat me? That asshole is like this, and you're like this too? One of you asked me for a sister, and the other one asked me for a wife? You two are really enough. And who is your wife? Tell me, tell me. Zhang Yangping broke down and cursed. Lin Tao's eyes lit up, and he was secretly happy that his brother-in-law and he really had a telepathic connection. Susan's disappearance must be related to this old man. At that moment, he waved the tree like a violent god of war, destroying everything in his way, and chased Zhang Yangping, shouting, "Old man, give my wife back to me." Zhang Yangping fled in a panic, feeling miserable. Thinking of him as the leader of the martial arts world, he used to be invincible. He came here today to hunt warriors and reach the peak of invincibility, but first he encountered Su Fan, the monster who asked for his sister, and now Lin Tao, the monster, is asking for his wife. The more he thought about it, the sadder he became, and he burst into tears, feeling extremely wronged. Boy, don't go too far. I don't even know your wife. If you want to find a wife, you shouldn't come to me, right? Bastard, did you hear me? I don't run a marriage agency. What kind of wife do you want from me? Zhang Yangping shouted at the top of his voice. His voice was broken, his clothes were tattered, his hair was messy, and he no longer had any of his former majesty. But Lin Tao didn't care at all. He waved the tree trunk in his hand vigorously, as if he wanted to smash Zhang Yangping into pieces. He just kept chanting, "Give me back my wife." Behind them, the forest seemed to have suffered a doomsday catastrophe. Wherever they passed, trees broke and fell, roaring and devastating. Zhang Yangping tried to escape by taking advantage of the forest terrain, but he could not shake off Lin Tao, who was following him like a shadow. Shit, the guy being hunted looks like Zhang Yangping. The crowd fleeing the town and the forest were startled by the noise. When they saw that it was Zhang Yangping, they all turned pale with fear, thinking that he was out to hunt them down. However, everyone soon showed strange expressions, as they saw that the famous and murderous Zhang Yangping was like a stray dog, being chased by a young man wielding an ancient tree. This shocking scene made everyone on the scene open their mouths wide. Their jaws almost dropped to the ground, and they were stunned. Chapter 486. Old thing, give me back my wife. Lin Tao's roar exploded in the forest. He pulled up a towering tree by its roots as easily as pulling out a carrot, and then shot the tree straight towards Zhang Yangping like an athlete throwing a javelin. His momentum was so overwhelming that branches and leaves flew everywhere he passed. Zhang Yangping narrowly avoided the attack, and looking at the ground with a big hole in it, he collapsed and shouted, "Damn it! How could I, Zhang Yangping, be in such a mess?" At this moment, his eyes were bloodshot, and his expression was ferocious and unwilling. But Lin Tao's pursuit did not slow down at all, and he was almost suffocated by Lin Tao's pursuit like a death rope. Zhang Yangping knew that running away would lead to his death, so he gritted his teeth and resolutely mobilized his remaining strength to perform a forbidden technique. A thick blood mist surged around him, and the pungent smell of blood was as if countless vengeful spirits were wailing. Blood-burning technique. Blood escaped. He roared at the top of his lungs, and his body turned into a light of blood and fled at a rapid speed. It was a very uncomfortable feeling. His internal organs felt like they were on fire. The pain was like being pierced by thousands of needles. Blood was flowing from all his orifices, and his consciousness was almost confused. However, he still struggled with his obsession to unleash his potential. After an unknown amount of time, Jang Ying reached his limit and fell from the sky, landing with a bang in a desolate valley. He coughed up blood and gasped for breath, thinking in despair, "Am I going to die here today? I won't accept this." At this moment, the howling of wolves came from the valley, but he was powerless to resist and could only leave it to fate. On the other side, Lin Tao looked at the bloody light, squinted his eyes in astonishment, and thought to himself, "This old guy ran very fast, and his martial arts method is different from what I remember. Could it be the butterfly effect?" He sensed that Jang Ying was on the verge of death, so he stopped and turned away, thinking that the other party would not live long, and there was no need to chase him. Chapter 488. Lin Tao quickly returned to the spot and took Jang Ying's personal ancient sword, Red Flame Burning Heart, from the still warm corpse. With a light wave, the ancient tree beside him broke neatly. He nodded with satisfaction. "Not bad. It could save a lot of points. This weapon can be called the best in this world. Although it is not as good as the fairy sword in the system mall, it is enough. The old man is generous, so I will accept it with pleasure." If Jang Ying, who was fighting hard with a pack of wolves in the valley at this time, could hear it, he would be furious. Lin Tao put the sword into the system backpack, looked at the afterglow of the setting sun, and without releasing the skill, Mirror Image, he traveled quickly with the help of his Grandmaster skills, and soon reached the edge of the city. In Bujiang town, the red-haired Suzuka general heard his subordinate's report and was shocked. "What did you say?" Jang Ying was chased by a young man and fled in panic. "How is this possible? A lean camel is bigger than a horse. Who below the Grandmaster can do this?" And he is still shouting for Jang Ying to return his wife. After receiving the message, she was stunned. Jang Ying was seriously injured, and she didn't dare to say that she won. Who is this mysterious young man? He could do it so easily. What surprised her the most was that this young man was so young, but had the cultivation of a master. Could he be another evildoer? Why are young people so fierce these days? Thinking of Su Fan, her expression froze, and her thoughts drifted away. A top-level expert like Su Fan rarely appeared out of thin air. Combined with the fact that the master of the Heavenly Killing Hall appeared in the Magic City and shocked the dark web killers, as well as Su Fan's iconic attire, General Suzuku had a shocking thought in his mind. Could this master, Su, be the master of the Heavenly Killing Hall? If so, he must report it to the top management of Kunlun immediately. Chapter 489. When the Vermilion Bird Warrior realized that Su Fan might be the master of the Heavenly Killing Palace, her expression instantly became solemn. The Heavenly Killing Palace was one of the top 3 foreign powers. Only 3 or 4,000 people, but each of them was an elite. Ordinary soldiers are all top Special Forces kings, and there are many internal force warriors and masters. Their individual combat power is off the charts. The first Hall Master once had the illustrious reputation of being the first master in China. It was said that he had reached the limit of the Master Realm and touched the Extraordinary Realm, with the power to overturn rivers and seas. Although he had not appeared in the world for a long time, but appointed his personal disciple as the second Hall Master, and also held the terrifying Demon Slaughter Order. Once this order was issued, all members of the Heavenly Killing Hall were dispatched, and the fight never ended. Once the small island nation of O'Hara was sunk because of offending the Hall Master, shocking the world. Not long ago, the Mad Lion mercenary group was wiped out by the Demon Slaughter Order because they offended the Hall Master. The Vermilion Bird Warrior was immersed in the awe of the Heavenly Killing Palace when she suddenly saw a man running over from a distance. His hair was as fluffy as that of a golden lion king. Who else could it be but a mad lion? He waved excitedly and shouted, "Boss Su." The Vermilion Bird Warrior had excellent eyesight and recognized him at a glance, which made her more certain of Su Fan's identity. On the other side, Su Fan didn't care about the respectful look of the Suzuka warrior. He was surprised at the person who could force Jang Ying to flee in embarrassment. Hearing that the mysterious strong man was asking for his wife while chasing him, Su Fan's mind suddenly popped up the image of his brother-in-law Lin Tao, but he immediately shook his head in self-mockery. How could an ordinary person who was weak and powerless be a master. Although Jiang Yangping is considered a powerful opponent in Su Fan's eyes, his strange attacks are enough to defeat many masters, and he is invincible below the master level. Now that he was defeated by a young man, Su Fan was surprised and suddenly felt a desire to fight. He longed to have a great battle with the mysterious man to find out the shocking secrets behind it. 第490章 Su Fan's Double Life. The vermilion bird warrior broke Su Fan's contemplation and asked bluntly, Master Su, excuse me. If I'm not mistaken, you are the master of the Heavenly Killing Hall, right? Su Fan glanced at him and said in a calm voice, So what? The Suzaka warrior was shocked. Sure enough, but it was surprising that Su Fan, so young, held such a position. She became more respectful. Just as she was about to praise him, Su Fan waved his hand impatiently. Don't say these polite words. Listen, don't reveal my identity to the outside world at all. Just keep it a tacit understanding. I don't want too many people to know my identity. I just want to get along with everyone as an ordinary person. If my identity is exposed, I can't keep a low profile in this world and experience the mundane life. I yearn for an ordinary life, not the flattery and awe of the world. If you dare to say anything, don't blame me for being ruthless. Understand? The vermilion bird warrior was confused and kept muttering in his heart. What's going on? Why not treat the palace master as a mortal? This routine is too old-fashioned. But he nodded quickly. I understand. Su Fan then said, Help me find a friend who went missing during this turmoil, and told him about Susan S.'s situation. General Suzuka nodded solemnly and promised to do his best to find her. At this time, the Mad Lion came running, knelt on one knee, and shouted, Boss Su, you are my eternal god. I will follow your lead in this life. If you tell me to go east, I will never go west. If you tell me to beat a dog, I will never chase a chicken. The Mad Lion was full of admiration, and his previous resentment had long since dissipated. The Han family father and daughter followed. Han Xinxiao said shyly, Su Fan, thank you for coming all the way to save me and avenge me. Your life-saving grace is greater than heaven, and I have no way to repay you. After thinking about it, I can only promise myself to you. The rest of my life is long. Please be more compassionate to me. Han Jingyang was even more smiling. Ah, good. You are worthy of being Master Su. Today's battle is enough to go down in history and become a legendary story in the martial arts world. I actually knew it a long time ago. Jiang Yangping, a jumping clown, is completely a chicken and a pottery dog in front of you, a dead old man who overestimates his own abilities. Master Su, your heroic figure has been deeply imprinted in my heart. My admiration for you is like a surging river, endless. I wonder if you're interested in my daughter? If you have a refined character, tonight I will wash my daughter and bring her to your bed for you to eat. My daughter can give you her precious virginity, which is the honor of her life. She has no regrets in this life. That wretched look made Su Fan speechless for a moment. But Han Jingyang was not ashamed. In his heart, as long as he could win over Su Fan, any price would be worth it. Su Fan was caught in this complicated situation. On one hand, he was hiding his identity as the palace master, and on the other hand, he was anxious to find his relatives. D491 the Han family's father and daughter are very proud. As expected, upon hearing Han Jingyang's explicit words, Han Xinxiao glared at him in false anger, but the desire and expectation in her eyes were exactly like Sima Zhao's intention. She has spent years meticulously sculpting herself, from her skin to her body shape, using every possible means to maintain her body, just to wait for a strong man who can match her. Since she met Su Fan, she has determined that all her efforts are for him. Back then, Jiang Yangping's name was like a haze hanging over the Han family. The family business was attacked by various forces and suffered heavy losses. The people in the family were panicked, and most of them wanted to sever their ties with Su Fan and defect to the enemy camp. However, Han Xinxiao and her daughter held on to their beliefs and supported Su Fan. In Bujiang town, when Jiang Yangping was rampaging, Su Fan descended like a god and beat Jiang Yangping so hard that he fled in panic. After this battle, Su Fan's name shook the martial arts world. The Han family also took off. Those forces that had been against the Han family suddenly became like frightened birds and came forward to apologize and curry favor. But in fact, they all wanted to curry favor with Su Fan. Master Su, you are so amazing. Zhang Yangping used to be so arrogant. Who would have thought that he would be defeated by you? Your skills are simply invincible. Everyone gathered around, and flattery could not stop. That's right. Master Su will definitely be famous in the martial arts world after today's battle. Zhang Yangping is just a firefly. I have long seen that Master Su is extraordinary. Master Su is the god of war. He will die for you if you are ordered to do so. Su Fan put his hands in his pockets, wore flip-flops, and looked proud, not caring about the compliments. He looked through the crowd, but couldn't find the beautiful figure in his mind and felt a little disappointed. Seeing that his competitors were increasing, Han Jingyang quickly jumped out to express his loyalty. Master Su is a master of martial arts. My Han family depends on you for saving us. From now on, we will follow your lead and lead wherever your sword points. As soon as he finished speaking, a skinny man said, I can't repay you for saving my life. My Huang family in the Demon City is willing to serve Master Su at all times. Seeing this, everyone followed suit. Master Su, my Li family in the Demon City is willing to bow down to you. Master Su, my Wang family in the Imperial City. Su Fan was in the midst of this surging tide of admiration, seemingly calm, but in fact he was secretly thinking. He wanted to keep a low profile, but his identity and strength were like a magnet that attracted all forces. Just as everyone was scrambling to get close, a strange sound suddenly came from afar, as if a mysterious master was approaching. Su Fan narrowed his eyes slightly. Could it be that there was another new challenge coming? Or was it related to the disappearance of his younger sister? Chapter 493. In Bujiang Town, a group of upper-class people were extremely respectful to Su Fan. Zhang Yangping once dominated China, but now he was defeated by Su Fan. This news swept the entire Chinese martial arts world like a storm. Even foreign forces have heard about it. Many countries have been planning to eliminate or win over Su Fan. Su Fan's name is feared throughout the world, and Zhang Yangping has become a stepping stone for him to become famous. At the same time, in the Su family in the Magic City under the night, Lin Tao returned. Looking at the familiar room, but without his lover, he was filled with melancholy, picked up the red wine, and drank it all. Secretly sighing, I drink alone in the glass, and the lover is no longer here. The moonlight sprinkled on his sad face, and he clenched his fists, determined to protect Susan and never let her leave. At this moment, the system voice sounded in his mind. Host, the Drunken Sword Immortal entry-level inheritance initiation is about to begin. The process is extremely painful. Are you sure you want to accept it? Lin Tao's eyes were firm. Let's start. In order to protect my fragile, simple, and kind-hearted wife, I can endure any pain. I want to create a world that is 100% safe for Susan. In an instant, the ancient power awakened, and the energy was like a trickle at first. In an instant, it became a raging tsunami that enveloped Lin Tao. Ah! He screamed in pain, his body trembling violently, sweat pouring down like rain. His meridians seemed to be cut by a sharp blade, his muscles seemed to be burned by fire, and his bones were crackling. But he gritted his teeth and persisted, silently repeating his love for Susan in his heart, relying on this belief to resist tenaciously. For Susan, I can't fall down. True love is invincible, he shouted in his heart. As time passed, the pain gradually turned into numbness. The sword intent and the aroma of wine in his body intertwined, turning into a powerful force that continued to surge. And just when Lin Tao relied on the belief of pure love is invincible to transform himself, little did he know that his beloved wife was about to experience a bloody and cruel life and death struggle. Chapter 494. The beginning of Susan's demonic transformation. Killing everything. The night was dark, as thick and oppressive as ink. A helicopter flew through the clouds, speeding towards a mysterious, uninhabited island. The propellers spun wildly, deafeningly, as if they were going to tear the night apart. The moonlight sprinkled on the fuselage, and the cold luster flickered. Susan, dressed in a fiery red, stared at the approaching island expressionlessly, her eyes cold and murderous. The woman with the skull mask opposite her made her clench her fists. Her hatred was overwhelming, but she could only suppress it. There is no need for me to explain the rules of the Blood Goo trial. There are 100 candidates for president on the island, 101 in total including you. The only surviving successor will dominate the Scarlet Society. You have the best talent, so don't let me down, or everyone you cherish will be buried with you. The woman in the skull mask spoke calmly. Susan's killing intent grew stronger, but she nodded silently, vowing to break through to the level of martial arts master in the trial and escape this puppet-like fate. Hundreds of people who practiced the Blood Demon Sutra and were infected with blood goo worms will kill each other, devouring blood and goo worms. There are no rules, no mercy, only brutal competition until the Goo King is born. Susan gently stroked the blood parasite on her heart. Although this parasite was dangerous, it also made her blood poisonous. During the battle, she could poison the enemy and make them die in pain. I must survive to the end. For revenge and protection, I will do anything. Her eyes were ferocious and bloodshot, and her desire for power had reached its extreme. The helicopter finally hovered over the island. Susan looked down and saw that the island was shrouded in darkness, like the mouth of a giant beast. The moonlight was weak, the sea breeze was howling, and the air was filled with salty and humid air. When landing, the island was full of jagged rocks. Branches were like ghost hands, beasts were roaring, and humans were screaming. It was extremely terrifying. Go down. The competitors have already taken action. Most of them are at the peak of their internal strength. If you don't make a quick decision, once someone breaks through to the Grandmaster level, you will be dead. Susan jumped off the plane and stood on the edge of the island. Darkness was coming like a tide, but she was fearless. She tightly grasped Lin Tao's heirloom jade pendant. With tenderness and determination, morbidity and murderous intent intertwined in her smile. For freedom, for my family, for the people I cherish, I will kill all my opponents. Although the island was eerie, the wind was biting, and the roars of beasts and strange noises were endless, Susan still moved forward firmly. Her figure gradually disappeared into the darkness of the jungle, and a thrilling blood goo trial killing journey began. Chapter 495. Susan's figure disappeared into the darkness of the jungle. The mysterious woman in the skull mask returned to the cabin, and the helicopter took off again, moving away from the bloody island. If Susan becomes the king of goo, she will be the new president, and you must obey her absolutely. The woman ordered majestically. More than a dozen senior members of the Scarlet Society looked at each other in dismay. Some of them looked dissatisfied. They were all goo kings who had fought their way out of the sea of blood. How could they be willing to submit to a little girl? But under the cold gaze of the president, they could only respond in unison. Yes, Master Nightmare. Only Rome Mama truly supported Susan. She was very curious about the president's preference for Susan, and secretly wondered if the Scarlet Society was originally created for Susan. While she was daydreaming, the cold gaze of Lord Nightmare stabbed at her like a knife. Rome Mama almost screamed, and hurriedly lowered her head, sweating profusely, and dared not have any more distracting thoughts as if she had survived a disaster. The next day, the morning light shone on Lin Tao. He slowly opened his eyes shining brightly. Just the introductory inheritance made me a powerful person overnight. This system is really so terrifying. I am afraid I am the only immortal cultivator in the world. Lin Tao clenched his fist, feeling the power in his body surging like a river. When he raised his hand casually, the vitality of heaven and earth gathered, and the fallen leaves fluttered with it, showing the demeanor of a master. Susan, I will protect you from now on. Lin Tao was full of pride, but he also thought that he should not be too ostentatious. So he used the hidden spirit technique, and his powerful aura disappeared in an instant. When he was about to try out the magic, there was an urgent knock on the door, and Lu Wan's voice reported, "Son-in-law, the old chairman has woken up." Lin Tao was happy and worried. He was happy that Su Xingtian had woken up, but he was worried that it would be difficult to explain Susan's disappearance. 2.5 minutes later, in the VIP ward of the First People's Hospital of Shanghai. As soon as Lin Tao arrived, he heard Su Xingtian's hearty laughter. "My dear friend Su Fan, I feel very close to you this time, thanks to you. Could it be that we were one family 800 years ago?" Lin Tao knew that his elder brother-in-law was also there, and sweat broke out on his forehead. He pushed the door open with gritted teeth. Chapter 496. In the Super VIP ward of the First People's Hospital of Shanghai, Su Xingtian looked very good after waking up, and had a good chat with Su Fan. Su Fan was secretly delighted that he had won Su Xingtian's favor with his daily careful care. At this moment, Lin Tao pushed the door open and walked in. Su Fan snorted in his heart, still upset about his failure to protect his sister. But in an instant, Su Fan seemed to catch a strange breath from Lin Tao, but when he looked again, there was only that handsome face left, which made him full of doubts. Su Xingtian waved warmly and praised Lin Tao highly. Xiaoxian, my good grandson-in-law, come here quickly. After not seeing you for a day, you look even more handsome than before. My granddaughter is so blessed to have you. Lin Tao blushed at the praise, and when asked by Su Xingtian, he recounted everything that happened during his coma. However, when the topic turned to Susan, Lin Tao hesitated. Finally, he gritted his teeth and told her about Susan's disappearance. Su Xingtian was struck by lightning and was stunned for a moment. The next second, his blood rushed up and his eyes went black and he fainted. Su Fan quickly used the 13 needles of the ghost gate to give the old man first aid, and the old man slowly woke up. After waking up, Su Xingtian was restless and muttered anxiously, "My weak granddaughter, who never goes out of the house, is as fragile as glass and has no strength to tie a chicken. She must be terrified when she is out there. If she falls into the hands of a villain, she will probably collapse after being frightened." Su Fan listened, and the scene of his sister trembling and being tortured appeared in front of him. His nose felt sour, and his eyes were red. Lin Tao was not too panicked at first because Susan had a protective jade pendant and left on her own initiative, but he became nervous after hearing Su Xingtian's suffering assumptions. Although he could spend a huge amount of points to teleport to find her, he didn't want to interfere with her freedom. After all, Susan seemed to be hiding a secret from him. However, if she didn't return after 3 days or the jade pendant was broken, he would take action without hesitation. In the ward, Lin Tao helplessly comforted Su Xingtian. "Grandpa Su, I have contacted the police and mobilized my connections to look for her. If she is not found in 3 days, I will definitely try my best to bring her back. You just woke up. Take care of yourself. Otherwise, Susan will blame herself." Su Xingtian held back his tears and turned his head to wipe his eyes with his sleeves. But not long after, he imagined the tragic scene again and hugged Su Fan and sobbed. Lin Tao was upset by the crying and escaped from the ward under the pretext of looking for Susan. Before closing the door, the helpless sobbing sound could still be heard. At this moment, Su Xingtian was just an ordinary old man who was worried about his granddaughter. He kept calling out, "My precious granddaughter, you must be safe." The novel includes some descriptions of the protagonist Lin Tao's psychological activities. Help me polish this dialogue and make it more powerful. Give me some more plots to make the novel richer. Chapter 497. On the mysterious killing island 1,500 kilometers away from here, Susan is regarded by the world as unable to take care of herself and as weak as a willow tree. But at this moment, she is casually throwing away the dried corpse of the man in her hand, with madness and satisfaction on her face. After a night of fighting, she unexpectedly found an unprecedented pleasure between life and death, and was deeply addicted to it like a drug addict, unable to extricate herself. Her cultivation level also soared like a rocket. She has reached the pinnacle of internal strength at such a young age. If this were known by the outside world, they would surely regard her as a martial arts prodigy rarely seen once in a million years. In fact, this is the result of her deliberately suppressing her realm. Otherwise, she would have broken through to the great perfection of internal strength long ago. Susan kept in mind the master's teachings. If you want to achieve extraordinary success in the future, you can't just pursue the quantity of internal energy and the breakthrough of realm. Quality is the key. Only by condensing the blood-colored energy in your body into substance. Only then can she reach the pinnacle of martial arts. Therefore, she took steady steps, determined to become invincible, just to get rid of her master's control and protect the people she cherished. "Sister Wu, thank you for saving me. If it weren't for you, I would have been insulted by that man. It's so scary here. Sister, can you take me out?" A crying female voice came. Susan's thoughts were interrupted. A sweet and lovely girl with long, straight black hair and a baby face, who looked underage, approached her in panic with tears on her face, begging for shelter. Susan felt pity for the girl, smiled, nodded, and waved. However, when the girl was only 1 step away from her, Susan continued to smile, but the sharpened branch in her hand stabbed the girl's face like lightning, instantly popping her eyeball and splashing blood all over her body. Ah! Wrapped in endless pleasure, she couldn't help but moan. After a long time, she threw away the corpse. Blood and energy entangled her body, and the killing instinct almost took over her brain. Just as she was about to lose control, Susan caught a glimpse of the jade pendant on her chest, and Lin Tao's voice and smile appeared in her mind. Lin, Xian, she whispered softly, and the anger in her eyes gradually dissipated, and she regained her clarity. After calming down, she held the jade pendant tightly, with a gentle smile on her lips. Lin Tao, thank you. When I get home, I will definitely see you. When I am strong enough, I will be able to protect you. For you, I am willing to bear everything, even if I am despised by thousands of people, even if I kill countless lives to gain the power to protect you. Susan bit her lip, and her resolute voice echoed in the silent forest. Then, she carefully put on the jade pendant and resolutely stepped into the jungle. A new round of life and death battle was about to begin in her legendary road. In this interweaving of blood and warmth, things become increasingly confusing. Chapter 498. At the hospital entrance, as soon as Lin Tao stepped out, the Huawei phone in his pocket rang happily. Hello, who are you? As soon as he uttered his unique greeting, Tang Goen's cheerful voice came from the other end of the line. Chicken? Xiaoxian, how did you know that I was thinking of treating you to some chicken? Lin Tao was stunned at first, then he reacted. Uncle, you guys are home? Is Sixth Cousin okay? So soon? Did the military release him? He was full of surprise, as he thought that Jiang Yangping's heinous crime would not allow his disciple to get away easily. My grandfather informed the military, and since Xiaohao was indeed the victim, many people in Bujiang town witnessed their split, so we will know the truth once we investigate. Let's not talk about this. Your aunt got some beautiful chickens and wants to invite you to come and try them. We have been through hardships together, so this is a good time to celebrate our survival. Tang Guan invite entusiasti. Lin Tao readily agreed. He was planning to borrow the power of his uncle's family to deal with Wikitchen, who turned Susan into a vegetable before she came back. He thought to himself that it would be easy to kill Wikitchen. He had 100 ways to do it, but he wanted to make Wikitchen's life worse than death. He would first destroy the Hua family and make him paralyzed in a wheelchair like Hawking, watching everything he lost in despair. In the Tang family's luxurious villa, Tang Goen hung up the phone and said smugly, Family members, who understands? Xiaoxian didn't want to come, but he agreed to the banquet to eat chicken for my sake. He must love me as his uncle very much. But no one paid any attention to him. Everyone gathered around Tang Hao. Su Shuyan held a whip in his hand and said sternly, Xiao Hao, you have to listen to your mother and don't give your cousin a look. He is your lifesaver. If he hadn't warned you, you would have been beaten to death by Jiang Yangping. If you dare to disrespect me again, I will whip you and stir-fry your meat to recreate your childhood. Tang Jiasan Shao also patted Tang Hao's bald head. Sixth brother, I used to have more objections to my cousin, but since my fate has changed because of him, I am convinced. I am the son of destiny, but I cannot offend my cousin. He has a golden finger. Your forehead is black, and if you continue to be stubborn, you will have a bloody disaster. Tang Ling crossed her arms and snorted coldly. Sixth brother, I know you favor Tang Ro, but I don't care. I have my cousin Lin Tao, and that's enough. If you dare to bully him, I will draw circles every day to curse you for impotence, premature ejaculation, etc. Tang Hao was terrified. Are these still his relatives? Why are his mother, third brother, and seventh sister all like this? He recalled that he had just returned home in the early morning, and before he could even sit down, his family members surrounded him and asked mysteriously, Sixth brother, can you hear Xiaoshuan's voice? He was so shocked that he could hardly speak clearly. Ah, this? Don't tell me, Dad and Mom, you guys are also... Su Shiyan patted his chest proudly and said, let's be frank, we won't pretend anymore. Not only me, but also your dad, third brother, and seventh sister. We are all the children of destiny who can eavesdrop on Xiaoshuan's thoughts. Tang Hao was stunned. What? Chapter 499. In just 2.5 minutes, Tang Hao felt as if he had experienced a long and shocking baptism of the soul before he recovered from the extreme shock. He could never have imagined that during the time he was trapped in Bujiang town, his family would encounter so many shocking crises. Tang's father was almost killed by genital eczema and died young. Tang's mother almost became a window cleaner and a sex anchor. The newly returned seventh sister was also ruthlessly played by a scumbag, and it was horrible to watch. And the third brother was even more miserable. He was not deceived into going to Myanmar to have his heart and kidneys taken out. He was sold to Africa to mine, and even was raped to death by a black man. This series of news that shattered his worldview was like a series of heavy bombs that turned Tang Hao's head into a mess. He sat on the sofa dumbfounded, passively listening to the tearful complaints of his relatives. In the end, everyone in the Tang family came to a unanimous conclusion: to befriend Lin Tao, the magical golden finger, at all costs. I've finished speaking. Who agrees? Who opposes? The head of the family, Tang Goen, stood up majestically, ready to finalize this course of action. I agree. Why ask? Cousin Lin Tao, I unconditionally support this policy. The number of people who unconditionally agree. Everyone raised their hands. At this moment, Tang Hao weakly raised his hand and muttered softly, "That? I object." Slap. Tang Goen raised his eyebrows and slapped him loudly without hesitation. Objection is invalid. Tang Hao covered his cheeks, wanting to cry, but without tears, and said aggrievedly, "Dad, have you forgotten what happened that year? The beastly cousin is so mean to Xiao. How can we befriend such a beast with bad character? Apart from anything else, how can we explain this to Xiao? She will be so sad that she will burst into tears." Tang Goen was furious and was about to strike again when a small whip hit Tang Hao first. It turned out to be Su Shuyun, who glared at him. "You are stubborn and stubborn. You have ignored everything we said before. I think you are itching for trouble. So today I will help you recreate your childhood." Su Shuyun swung the whip in her hand vigorously, obviously very angry with this stupid son. "Listen to me, Xiaoling is my only precious daughter. As for that green tea girl Tang Ro, to be honest, if I hadn't thought of giving you brother some buffer time, I would have kicked her out long ago. Also, Tang Ro is a very scheming girl. My intuition tells me that there must be something fishy going on back then." Tang Hao was so frightened by his mother's anger that he dared not say a word, but he still believed in his heart that Tang Ro was not that kind of person and there must be a misunderstanding. He recalled the time when his first love cheated on him, and he was so heartbroken that he even suffered from depression and wanted to commit suicide. It was Tang Ro's perseverance and patient guidance that helped him get out of the shadows. From then on, he vowed to protect this gentle sister. Therefore, unless he saw it with his own eyes, he would never believe that Tang Ro was a mean, vicious, and scheming woman. But Lin Tao's foresight made him doubt. Could it be that his cousin really used some mysterious means? Tang Hao was full of entanglement and irritability. Just then, the servant came to announce that Lin Tao had arrived. "Xiaoxian is here to eat the chicken?" "Great, great, come and invite him in." "No, that's not polite. Let our whole family go out and welcome him." Tang Goen rushed out excitedly, followed by Tang Sanshao and others. At the gate of the villa, Lin Tao saw his uncle and his family coming out to greet him. He was slightly stunned and then smiled and greeted them. "Huh, is it my illusion? Xiaoxian, why do you seem to be handsome again?" Tang Goen and the others were shocked by the change in Lin Tao's temperament. They had only not seen him for a day, but he seemed to have a more otherworldly feeling. However, when they looked closely, he seemed to be no different. It was really strange. "No, uncle, you think too much. It's all an illusion," Lin Tao responded casually. "Okay, are you here alone? Why don't I come with you?" "Sorry. Don't worry, my nephew's wife is a lucky person. She will be fine. I have mobilized all the connections of the Tang family to help find her. I believe there will be results soon." Tang Goen was talking halfway when he suddenly remembered Susan's disappearance and quickly stopped talking. Lin Tao waved his hand and said with a smile, "Uncle, go in first. I can't wait to enjoy the imported chicken from the United States." "Oh, come on, Uncle will take you to taste it today. Let's see how the taste of domestic chicken and imported chicken differs, huh?" The uncle and nephew walked into the house arm in arm, talking and laughing. Chapter 500. Tang's dining room. On the table, two tempting roast chickens were placed side by side. One was an American roast chicken from across the ocean, with golden skin, crispy and tempting, and a hint of exotic flavor. The other was an authentic Chinese roast chicken, bright red in color and fragrant, as if carrying 1,000 years of culinary wisdom. At this moment, Lin Tao and the Tang family were sitting around a table, enjoying these two delicious roast chickens. American roast chicken versus Chinese roast chicken. The atmosphere at the table was warm. Lin Tao picked up a piece of American roast chicken and chewed it slightly. This American roast chicken is really good, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, and the meat is delicious. He praised it with a subtle light flashing in his eyes. But he put down his chopsticks, changed the subject, and turned his eyes to the Chinese roast chicken on the other side. In comparison, this Chinese roast chicken, Lin Tao's eyes lit up, and he paused, as if he was brewing some shocking secret. It's simply unmatched. He carefully tore off a small piece of chicken breast and put it in his mouth. Instantly, the rich aroma spread, as if traveling through thousands of years of time, bringing the warmth and familiarity of his hometown. This is the taste. Lin Tao closed his eyes, intoxicated by the carnival of taste buds. It represents not only food, but also a cultural heritage and an emotional sustenance. Tang was stunned. There was silence all around. Everyone was stunned. Xiaoxian, what are you doing? Tang was stunned for a moment and smiled. Well said, it's really a profound culture. Lin Tao grinned and continued. American roast chicken is indeed unique, but Chinese roast chicken carries the essence of thousands of years of cooking skills. Every bite reminds me of the taste of my hometown, warm and deep. Invincible cooking skills. Actually, I usually have nothing to do at home, so I like to cook for Susan. Over time, I've learned a few tricks. Lin Tao said as he picked up a small piece of chicken and continued to taste it. The Tang family members were all silent, but they were thinking. With his level, he dares to say that he is good at cooking? He is so overconfident. Can he compare with the cooking skills of our chef? But Lin Tao's confidence was not affected at all. He continued with a smile. I have spoiled my Susan's taste. She won't eat anything else unless it's cooked by me. This, Tang almost wanted to laugh out loud. Xiaoxian, you are really so funny. But Lin Tao remained calm and was secretly proud of himself. He would not tell these people that he had exchanged a skill called Super Cooking God through the Tai system. He became the only man on this planet who could be called a cooking god. To capture a woman's heart, you must first capture her stomach. Lin Tao muttered to himself, and he had verified this countless times with his actions. Agreed. On the surface, they couldn't help but roll their eyes in their hearts. This kid is really good at boasting. So what if he can cook? He has never learned proper cooking. But since he is so confident, let him be. However, all this is not important to Lin Tao. What is important is that he has earned the title of kitchen god and has decided to continue to pamper Susan and be the ultimate house husband. In the future, he plans to completely unload all responsibilities and become a perfect soft rice man, only responsible for cooking and enjoying his wife supporting the family. Lin Tao thought happily, lowering his head and casting a loving look at Susan. I just like watching you eat the food I cook. That feeling is sweeter than eating honey. Chapter 501. At the dining table, Tang Ling propped up her smooth chin and smiled like an ant. I envy sister Susan so much. Cousin, your uncle really dotes on her, right? She had just come back from the hospital. I witnessed the sweet love between my cousin and his wife. It's even sweeter than idol dramas. I'm almost breaking my teeth from eating so much of their CP. Tang Ling smiled with a twinkle in her eyes. Tang smiled and continued. Xiaoxian, your fifth cousin is now taking the first-level chef certificate exam in the capital. Since you are so confident in your cooking skills, when she comes back, you can discuss it. Lin Tao was slightly stunned. Fifth cousin Tang Shui? Her cooking skills are indeed amazing, and she is also very gentle and has a very good personality. Oh, she is also a chef. Lin Tao's heart moved, and the image of Tang Shui in the novel flashed in his mind. She has a gentle temperament and treats people well. Especially, she was always good to my predecessor. Lin Tao thought to himself. But what was her ending? He suddenly felt confused, because Tang Shui was only a supporting character in the novel, with few words about her and an unclear ending. At this moment, Lin Tao's stick to the melon field skill suddenly activated, and a familiar inner voice sounded. He quickly attracted everyone's attention, and the Tang family members instantly focused on him, their hearts almost skipping a beat. Here it comes! Here it comes! Excitement and anticipation appeared on the faces of the Tang family members. They were eager to know the changes in the future, especially the fate of Tang Shui. Lin Tao closed his eyes slightly, and the inner voice continued to echo with dramatic shock. Fuck! God! You're going too far! My fifth cousin has had a red birthmark on her face since she was a child. It's bad enough that she has to endure all the strange looks, and you even let her encounter domestic violence and cheating with a scumbag. When the Tang family heard this, their faces changed instantly. What? Domestic violence? Cheating? And you even let her have 7 or 8 miscarriages for that scumbag? The Tang family members were stunned and could hardly believe their ears. Who is that bastard? Tell me. Su Shuyan and his wife almost jumped up. They were extremely anxious. How could Schwer meet such a bad person? They were almost going crazy with heartache, and they were eager to stop it all. Tang Jiasan Shao was also furious. Dare to hurt my Tang family girl? You are simply courting death. Do you know who he is? Tell us, find him, and chop him into pieces. However, Lin Tao just smiled and said, well, wait until your fifth cousin comes back. You can discuss it yourself. Everyone's eyes were filled with anxiety. However, Lin Tao did not continue to reveal his inner thoughts, and the atmosphere froze instantly. Cousin, please stop keeping us in suspense. We are almost dying of anxiety. Tang Goen could not help but feel excited. At this time, Tang Hao was still sitting aside, half believing and half doubting. He always felt that all this was too absurd and hard to accept. How is this possible? Even if my cousin has some ability, if there really is a superpower, why does it only appear on my beastly cousin and not a martial arts genius like me? Tang Hao's eyes flashed with doubt, and he even began to suspect whether Lin Tao deliberately made up lies in his mind to stir up family relationships and create chaos. Lin Tao looked at Tang Hao and sighed silently in his heart. It seems that my sixth cousin has begun to doubt me again. He couldn't help but smile in his heart, and then continued to broadcast his thoughts. Oh, I see. Tang Hao must think that it was Tang Ro, the fake daughter, who was behind it again and wanted me to take the blame. Really, this simple-minded but strong sixth cousin, as soon as he saw me, his eyes started to become unfriendly. He should think that he is the most powerful. Why do I have this ability? However, just as Lin Tao was thinking about this, Tang Hao's anger finally erupted. He stood up suddenly and wanted to fight back against Lin Tao. However, just as he turned around, he was suddenly slapped hard on the back of his head. Bah! With a crisp sound, Tang Hao was stunned. He turned around and glared, only to see his parents and brothers looking at him coldly. Tang Hao's expression was stunned for a moment. Dad? Mom? You! What are you doing? Do you know what you were talking about? Tang's father asked angrily. Tang's mother also smiled coldly. Can't you think about how ridiculous what you did is first? Tang Hao was dumbfounded. He originally wanted to expose Lin Tao's true face, but he didn't expect that his parents and brother would stand on Lin Tao's side and give him a wake-up call. You! Tang Hao was completely dumbfounded and couldn't believe what was happening before his eyes. Lin Tao watched all this quietly, smiling in his heart. It seems that today I not only revealed Tang Shue's fate to you, but also helped you eliminate unnecessary doubts. His words were without any fluctuations, but Tang Hao's mentality collapsed instantly. But I think the future plot will become more exciting, right? Tang Hao was speechless and secretly sighed in his heart. My beastly cousin is really unfathomable. Chapter 502. The atmosphere in the Tang family restaurant was tense, and Tang Goen and the others were almost mad with anger. They were so angry that they gnashed their teeth and wanted to grab their own Lao Lu by the ears and give him a good beating. Why are you so stupid? I almost knew the identity of the scumbag from Lin Tao's inner voice, but your staring eyes ruined everything. Tang Goen was going crazy and wanted to rush forward. She gave her disobedient son a real mother-like beating. The opportunity just now was like a piece of fat meat delivered to her mouth, but it was ruined by this kid. Tang Hao lowered his head, feeling extremely guilty. He fully understood the problem with his eyes just now, but there was nothing he could do about it. Seeing that his parents began to threaten him with love entanglement, Tang Hao had no choice but to bite the bullet and reluctantly poured a glass of Wanglaji from the bottle on the table and handed it to Lin Tao. You drink it yourself. Tang Goen then coughed twice with a little satisfaction, signaling everyone to be quiet. He looked like an adult, picked up Wang Laoji and said, Xiao Xian. As the saying goes, if you survive a disaster, you will have good fortune in the future. Let's drink Wang Laoji today to celebrate your survival. After that, he raised his head and drank it, and the Tang family members beside him also smiled and raised their glasses. Tang Hao gritted his teeth fiercely, his eyes rolled, and he seemed to remember something. Could it be that the beastly cousin has made Lin Tao feel uncomfortable again? Lin Tao made him feel very entangled. According to common sense, when facing the host's toast, he should have returned the favor with a glass. But at this moment, as he looked at the bottle of Wanglaji that had made him doubt his life, he kept muttering in his heart, should I drink it or not? But not drinking it would be too rude. His inner monologue had just begun when Tang Goen and others were already getting anxious, wondering if they had offended Lin Tao in some way. Tang Hao was ready to fly into a rage. He slammed the table and stood up, wanting to vent his anger. However, all this was paused because of Lin Tao's voice again. Oh my god, should I drink this Wang Laoji or not? To be honest, I really can't drink it, but it seems a bit impolite not to drink it. But, my god, this Wang Laoji is the leftover from my sixth cousin's mouthwash this morning. How can I drink it? This bottle of Wang Laoji is actually foot washing water. I won't drink it. It's too scary. I'm about to collapse. From now on, I'm afraid I will never dare to drink Wang Laoji again, and I may even have a traumatic experience with it. What should I do? Can I pretend to drink it and then secretly pour it out? This series of inner drama made Lin Tao feel a little overwhelmed. Just as he was thinking hard about how to refuse this cup of Wang Laoji, the dining room suddenly became silent. Tang, and others looked at each other with puzzled expressions on their faces, as if they had just heard an incomprehensible alien language. What? Everyone subconsciously covered their mouths. Their heads seemed to have been hit hard, and their brains were suddenly blanked by this absurd scene. Tang looked at Lin Tao's innocent face, wondering, what did he just say? Why did they feel confused and even feel an indescribable dark force devouring their brains? What? He actually likes to use Wang Laoji to wash his feet, face, and hemorrhoids. Tang's eyes instantly widened bigger than copper bells. His whole body stiffened, his mouth slightly opened, as if he could spit fire at any time. No, why can't we understand what he said? We know every word, but when put together, it makes no sense. Tang's head was full of question marks, and he almost grabbed his hair and rubbed it frantically. Tang Hao's eyes widened, and he was completely stunned. Suddenly, he remembered something, and a trace of astonishment appeared on his face. Wait, is it also her doing behind my back when I broke up with Tang Ro? Tang Hao's face turned pale, and he couldn't believe what he heard. However, before he had time to think deeply, Tang shouted, "Stop imagining this. Lin Tao, tell me clearly, what did you say?" Lin Tao finally realized that these unbearable thoughts in his head were actually leaked directly through his inner voice. He coughed awkwardly twice. Uncle, it's nothing. I'm just a little entangled, Wang Laoji." Chapter 503. The atmosphere in the Tang family restaurant was tense, and Tang and the others were almost mad with anger. They were so angry that they gnashed their teeth and wanted to grab their own Lao Lu by the ears and give him a good beating. Why are you so stupid? I almost knew the identity of the scumbag from Lin Tao's inner voice, but your staring eyes ruined everything. Tang was going crazy and wanted to rush forward. She gave her disobedient son a real mother-like beating. The opportunity just now was like a piece of fat meat delivered to her mouth, but it was ruined by this kid. Tang Hao lowered his head, feeling guilty. He fully understood the problem with his eyes just now, but he could do nothing about it. Seeing his parents begin to threaten him with love entanglement, Tang Hao had no choice but to bite the bullet and reluctantly poured a glass of Wang Laoji from the bottle on the table and handed it to Lin Tao. You drink it yourself. Tang then coughed twice with a little satisfaction, signaling everyone to be quiet. He looked like an adult, picked up Wang Laoji, and said, "Xiao Xian, as the saying goes, if you survive a disaster, you will have good fortune in the future. Let's drink Wang Laoji today to celebrate your survival." After that, he raised his head and drank it, and the Tang family members beside him also smiled and raised their glasses. Tang Hao gritted his teeth fiercely. His eyes rolled, and he seemed to remember something. Could it be that the beastly cousin has made Lin Tao feel uncomfortable again? Lin Tao made him feel extremely conflicted. According to common sense, he should have offered a toast in return to the host. However, as he looked at the bottle of Wang Laoji that made him doubt his life, he kept muttering in his heart, "Should I drink it or not?" But not drinking it would be too rude. His inner monologue had just begun, and Tang and others were already getting anxious, wondering if they had offended Lin Tao in some way. Tang Hao was even more furious. He slammed the table and stood up, wanting to vent his anger. But all this was paused because of Lin Tao's voice again. Oh my god, should I drink this Wang Laoji or not? To be honest, I really can't drink it, but it seems a bit impolite not to drink it. But, my god, this Wang Laoji is the leftover from my sixth cousin's mouthwash this morning. How can I drink it? This bottle of Wang Laoji is actually foot washing water. I won't drink it. It's too scary. I'm about to collapse. From now on, I'm afraid I will never dare to drink Wang Laoji again, and I may even have a traumatic experience with it. What should I do? Can I pretend to drink it and then secretly pour it out? This series of inner drama made Lin Tao feel a little overwhelmed. Just as he was thinking hard about how to refuse this cup of Wanglaji, the dining room suddenly became silent. Tang Goen and others looked at each other with puzzled expressions on their faces, as if they had just heard an incomprehensible alien language. What? Everyone subconsciously covered their mouths. Their heads seemed to have been hit hard, and their brains were suddenly blanked by this absurd scene. Tang Goen looked at Lin Tao's innocent face, wondering, what did he just say? Why did they feel confused and even feel an indescribable dark force devouring their brains? What? He actually likes to use Wang Laoji to wash his feet, face, and hemorrhoids. Tang Goen's eyes instantly widened bigger than copper bells. His whole body stiffened, his mouth slightly opened, as if he could spit fire at any time. No, why can't we understand what he said? We know every word, but when put together, it makes no sense. Tang Goen's head was full of question marks, and he almost grabbed his hair and rubbed it frantically. Tang Hao's eyes widened, and he was completely stunned. Suddenly, he remembered something, and a trace of astonishment appeared on his face. Wait, is it also her doing behind my back when I broke up with Tang Ro? Tang Hao's face turned pale, and he couldn't believe what he heard. However, before he had time to think deeply, Tang Goen shouted, "Stop imagining this. Lin Tao, tell me clearly, what did you say?" Lin Tao finally realized that these unbearable thoughts in his head were actually leaked directly through his inner voice. He coughed awkwardly twice. Uncle, it's nothing. I'm just a little entangled, Wanglaji." The atmosphere in the Tang family restaurant suddenly became strange. The Tang family members who were originally chatting happily were suddenly enveloped by a disgusting atmosphere. Tang Jiasan Xiao, the man known for his misophobia, turned pale and had almost no time to react before he bent over and vomited. Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. Tang Goen and the others couldn't help but feel their stomachs churning, but they didn't vomit on the spot like Tang Jiasan Xiao did. They stood there one by one, looking grim, as if there was an invisible object stuck in their throats, making them extremely uncomfortable. Tang Goen realized the core of the problem. It was not Lin Tao's voice that made them so uncomfortable, but the cup of Wang Lo cat. What made them even more horrified was that Lin Tao actually revealed that it was the Wang Lo cat, left over after Tang Hao rinsed his mouth in the morning. This is impossible. Tang Goen suddenly felt his stomach churning, and a strong sense of nausea came over him. I almost want to vomit. Tang Hao was stunned, his face pale, and he obviously realized that the Wang Laoji he was drinking had been perfectly contaminated and became a dirty drink. Tang Ling covered her mouth and laughed. Fortunately, I don't like to drink Wang Laji. I only drink Wang Zai milk. Anyone who drinks a drink like Wang Laji will be stupid. Su Shiyan also agreed. I only drink Sprite. I won't touch this weird stuff. Tang Jiasan Xiao coughed a few times. Pulse. These words instantly made the atmosphere in the room even more tense. Wang Laoji, even the Tang family has abandoned it. Just when everyone was immersed in the shadow of Wang Laoji, Lin Tao finally thought of a perfect excuse. Uncle, I'm sorry. I'm allergic to Wang Laoji and really can't drink it. Can you give me a bottle of Waha-AD calcium milk? I like it the most. It is sweet and sour, nutritious, and helpful for bone development. Tang Goen almost laughed out loud. Allergic to Wanglaji? This is the first time you've seen such an outrageous reason, right? He spread his hands helplessly, but secretly complained in his heart. These two kids have really wild and unconventional brain circuits. Okay, I'll change it for you. He raised his hand. Come on, bring the calcium milk. Soon, Wang Ma came in with a table full of Waha-AD calcium milk. There were several bottles in front of each person, and Lin Tao picked up a bottle and started drinking it, as if they were competing. The whole audience was speechless. Everyone looked at each other and cooperated, raising their bottles. Cheers! No matter what they thought, everyone raised their drinks and clinked glasses under Lin Tao's encouragement. Tang Hao seemed particularly silent at this time, motionless, with a trace of confusion on his face. Hey, Lao Lu, what's wrong with you? Tang Goen finally couldn't help asking. Why are you in a daze? Drink a sip too. Tang Hao suddenly came back to his senses. An awkward smile appeared on his face, but his heart was like a rolling wave. Could it be that Tang Ro really harmed me? Was all this really the conspiracy of that woman? But everything was too unbelievable. He could hardly accept this sudden blow, and the expression on his face became more painful. Lin Tao didn't care about all this. He had already made up his mind that no matter what the situation was, he would drink to his heart's content. Chapter 504. The atmosphere in Tang's restaurant was strange and solemn. Tang Hao's face looked as if he had just experienced a catastrophe. He closed his eyes tightly and held the armrests of the chair tightly with both hands, as if he wanted to bury himself alive in this unfamiliar embarrassment. The family members around him stared at him quietly, with unspeakable surprise and a hint of unbearable weirdness in their eyes. Tang Hao's heartbeat seemed to be strangled by an invisible hand, violent and irregular. The awkward feeling of suffocation came over him, almost making him feel like he was about to collapse. He was a little dazed, but soon, the uncontrollable feeling of shame in his mind made his eyes red instantly. What's wrong? Is he crazy? Everyone whispered, and their eyes unconsciously focused on Tang Hao. He was suddenly stunned, and the secrets in his heart came out like a flood. Those absurd things that he had tried so hard to hide, those dark desires that had long been hidden deep in his heart, were exposed in this instant. Cutting, Tang Hao barely had the strength to raise his head. His voice seemed to be squeezed out from between his teeth. How did you know? His voice was trembling, and he was almost about to cry, because he had never thought that under Lin Tao's seemingly harmless face, there was actually a power that could see through all his private matters. These secret desires were once the pain he tasted alone, but today they had become a permanent shadow in the hearts of his family members. The shame was like a surging river, uncontrollably swallowing up Tang Hao's last bit of rationality. He looked at Tang Ling beside him, and his heart ached. Tang Ling's face was full of obvious disgust, and she almost didn't dare to look him in the face. You. Tang Ling's voice was mixed with an indescribable emotion, and her eyes avoided him. You are just like this. This is too disgusting. Tang Hao simply couldn't bear it. In the eyes of his family, he had always been that obedient and well-behaved boy. How could he become so disgusting? He wanted to find a hole in the ground to crawl into and escape from this shameful scene. Hey, Lao Lu, why are you glaring at me? Lin Tao raised his eyebrows seemingly casually, with a provocative look on his face. I say, don't have any tricks up your sleeve. The corners of his mouth rose slightly, and he obviously felt a sense of inexplicable pleasure from Tang Hao's embarrassment. Tang Hao was almost driven crazy by this sentence. He wanted to rush over and tear Lin Tao to pieces. You beast! How much do you know? You know it too well. How do you know my secret? He shouted almost hysterically. This roar was like a bolt from the blue, instantly drawing everyone's attention to him, especially Tang Goen. Tang Goen's face changed, and he obviously knew that the matter was not simple. Tang Hao, calm down. Tang Goen's voice turned cold. What are you talking about? If you have a problem, solve it yourself. Don't embarrass yourself in front of everyone. Tang Hao's cheeks were burning, and his heart was about to jump out. Every word of Lin Tao's, I accidentally revealed your secret, pierced his heart like a sword, completely breaking his defenses. At this moment, he finally understood that Lin Tao had planned this all along. He knew all this. Even the absurd things he had done in the mountains that he couldn't talk about were all known to Lin Tao. It's all your fault. Tang Hao clenched his fists, staring at Lin Tao with angry eyes. If it weren't for you, how would I have ended up like this? He was almost angry and gritting his teeth. Okay, stop talking. Tang Goen interrupted him and glared at Lin Tao unkindly. Old Six didn't mean it. Don't make things worse for him. Forget it, forget it. Let's not argue about this. Tang Ling spoke quickly to prevent the situation from getting even more awkward. But, Lao Lu, can't you be a little more restrained? After all, the secret has been exposed, so don't make it more awkward among family members. I'm just a fool. Tang Hao's voice was low and like a suppressed roar, obviously trapped in a vortex of self-blame and shame. He didn't want to stay with his family anymore. The feeling of being seen through was too embarrassing. Just when everyone fell into silence, Lin Tao chuckled and patted Tang Hao's shoulder gently. Don't be nervous. Everyone will understand. After all, it's not easy to endure the hardships in the mountains for so many years. There was a hint of sarcasm in his tone, but he seemed to be trying to comfort him. Tang Hao couldn't understand his cousin's mentality at all. He was filled with confusion and fear, and didn't dare to look directly at the situation in front of him. He lowered his head, stood up quickly, and ran out of the restaurant without looking back. Where are you going? Dan Guan Saote? Tang Hao didn't look back and rushed out the door. He had only one thought in his mind, to find Xiao Wei. His first love, his only white moonlight, Perhaps only she could wake him up from this terrible nightmare. Cousin, he is such a relationship, Lin Tao whispered with a slightly complicated smile in his eyes. Maybe this is just the beginning. With Tang Hao's departure, the Tang family finally breathed a sigh of relief. But everyone knew in their hearts that their lives would never be the same again. Chapter 505. Tang Hao left in a hurry, leaving behind a group of people with confused eyes, as if they had just listened to a soul-stirring speech. What's going on? Why is the sixth cousin so impetuous? Tang Goen and the others looked at each other in bewilderment, wondering, why did this guy suddenly become so dramatic? Even his inner voice had some lyrics. Is there another love story? What song is this? Lin Tao couldn't help but whisper, with a hint of curiosity on his face. Tang Goen next to him immediately responded. How would your uncle know? I guess your nephew was in a complicated mood and sang it in a rush. However, they were not worried about Tang Hao's departure, but thought it was a good thing. If Lao Lu could be stimulated and recognize Tang Ro's true face, it would save them a lot of effort. Just when everyone was still digesting the reason why Tang Hao left in a hurry, Lin Tao suddenly asked a question. Uncle, where's cousin Xiaoro? How come I haven't seen her since I entered the door? Hearing this, Tang Goen's face froze, his brows slightly frowned, and his tone became a little cold. Oh, she ran to your eldest cousin's house early in the morning to help take care of the children. Xiao Xiong is a bit naughty and doesn't listen to anyone, but he has a good relationship with Xiaoro. Lin Tao could naturally hear that Tang Goen's tone changed when he mentioned Tang Ro. Obviously, the family's attitude towards Tang Ro had changed. However, Tang Ro didn't think so. She felt the rejection and misunderstanding around her, and she was very depressed. She didn't know what went wrong. Why did her image suddenly become so bad? She had no choice but to go to Tang Wanner's house to sell her misery. What did I do wrong? She asked herself repeatedly in her heart. At the same time, Tang Goen and his family had no time to care about Tang Ro's depression. Lin Tao's inner voice once again broke the silence and mentioned something even more shocking. Uncle, didn't you say that something happened at Wanner's house? I thought Tang Ro would go to the Hua family and make some big news. Tang Goen sneered. The Hua family? Do you think she can have any relationship with them? But when it comes to Wanner's child, you have to pay attention. Before he finished speaking, Lin Tao heard a piece of news that made him gasp. Xiao Xiong, that child, has super male syndrome. What? Lin Tao was stunned for a moment. Did he hear it right? Super male syndrome? This sounded like a disease from a science fiction movie. How is it related to Wanner's family? Tang Goen explained in a low voice. This disease is actually quite rare. In short, Xiao Xiong has an extra Y chromosome. He has a bad temper, mood swings, and is very aggressive. To put it bluntly, it's easy for him to go astray. Look at him now, he's just a little bad guy. What? This child will become dangerous in the future. Lin Tao couldn't help but think of what Tang Goen had said before. When this child grows up, will he become a dangerous person who threatens society? He felt a little chill in his heart. The Tang family members around him also showed expressions of disbelief. Super male syndrome? Tang Ling was a little confused and quickly took out her phone to search. What is this disease? In just a few seconds, a Baidu encyclopedia page appeared on the phone screen. Super male syndrome? She exclaimed. So this is the disease. No wonder it leads to violent tendencies. Tang Goen was also sighing at this time. Look, how come there is no one in the Tang family who has a smooth life? Look at Tang Ling, Tang Chuan, Tang Hao, Tang Shui, and Wanner's children. All of them have a rough fate. It's simply a tragedy. He swept his eyes over everyone, feeling a lot of emotion in his heart. This generation of his family is really not simple, but they all have suffered many disasters. Su Shiyan was even more shocked. She grabbed Tang Goen's hand with a worried look on her face. How is this possible? How could Xiao Xiong become that kind of person? Tang Goen sighed. Is our Tang family really cursed? Or is this our destiny? Lin Tao couldn't help but sigh after listening to this. He had completely realized in his heart, when educating children, we really can't be careless. Otherwise, even the most powerful family will be defeated by the next generation. He suddenly realized that he must plan ahead. Even if he gave birth to the 12 zodiac signs in the future, he would have to do it himself and guide them on the right path. He couldn't let them follow the old path of the Tang family. But Lin Tao suddenly raised his eyebrows and looked at Tang Goen. Super male syndrome is a disease that should not be easy to treat, right? Tang Goen smiled coldly. Treatment? That depends on whether we can find a suitable method. Su Shuyan was in a heavy mood and asked in a low voice, "What if it really can't be cured?" Tang Goen was silent for a moment and whispered, "Then we can only let the child go further and further on the wrong path until it is irreversible." At this moment, the expressions on the faces of the Tang family became complicated, as if everyone was silently thinking about the same question. Can the fate of the Tang family change for the better under Lin Tao's changes? Lin Tao ignored their silence and began to ponder his own plan again. No matter what, he must protect his loved ones and not let them face a catastrophic disaster. Chapter 506: The Beginning of the Hua Family's Demise. Chapter 506: The Beginning of the Hua Family's Destruction. Super male syndrome? Is it that scary? Tang Ling held her phone and stared at the Baidu encyclopedia passage with a serious expression. Does Xiaoxiong also have this symptom? Tang Chuan's brows were tightly knitted together, his face heavy. How could he tolerate her family becoming like this before she got married? He should have realized that Xiaoxiong's violent tendencies were not just mischief, but a sign of illness. Damn it, I should have noticed it earlier. Tang Chuan felt regretful and broke out in a cold sweat. He realized that this was not just a problem with the child, but supermale syndrome, a disease that could not be ignored. Tang Chuan remembered that he had heard about the seriousness of this disease. Although not every patient would become a criminal, if they were not guided in time, these children would easily go astray. Such unscrupulous relatives of the Hua family obviously cannot get close to Xiaoxiong. He must remind his eldest sister early to stop Tang Ro from contacting the child to prevent her from taking advantage of Xiaoxiong's illness. Just as Tang Chuan was thinking about countermeasures, Lin Tao's voice suddenly sounded, interrupting his thoughts. "Forget it, it's none of my business. Just ignore it." Lin Tao sneered, chewing his plan in his mind. "The most urgent thing I want is to destroy the Hua family." This promise, the promise he made to Susan half a month ago, has finally come to fruition. The Hua family, Hua Kitchen, those ruthless people who secretly manipulated and schemed behind the scenes must pay the price for what they did. Over the past week, Lin Tao has been planning through various channels how to drive the Hua family into an abyss of no return. He once received a call from Ma Yingzhe, who was concerned about the Hua family's financial situation. Upon learning that the Hua family's stock price had plummeted and its business cooperation had suffered a heavy blow, everything was just as he had expected, and the Hua family's days were becoming increasingly difficult. Hua Kitchen, this ambitious man, must be as anxious as an ant on a hot pan. The Hua family must be in turmoil now, and people inside are in turmoil. It is very likely that they will use all means to get the project to develop the university town from Tang Chuan. But Lin Tao knew in his heart that it was during this period that the Hua family's greatest weakness was exposed, and it was the best time for him to fight back. Well, my uncle's family needs to cooperate with my plan as soon as possible. Lin Tao weighed the pros and cons quickly in his mind. But the problem is that Tang Goen's family has always had a good impression of Hua Kitchen, especially Tang Chuan's third cousin, who almost regarded Hua Kitchen as a benefactor. Without a suitable reason, how could they immediately support his plan? Just as he was hesitating, Tang Goen spoke up with a serious expression and said directly, "Xiaoxian, I heard that you and Hua Kitchen have a conflict?" Lin Tao was stunned for a moment, with a flash of surprise in his eyes, but he immediately realized that this was an opportunity. He quickly adjusted his expression and began to tell how Hua Kitchen poisoned his wife. He had intended to guide him slowly, but unexpectedly, Tang Goen directly expressed his anger towards Hua Kitchen, his tone full of disgust for the Hua family's ruthlessness. "Xiaoxian, to tell you the truth, I don't have any good feelings towards the Hua family. These past 2 days, I have been thinking about how to retaliate against the Hua family. If you have a plan, tell me, I will definitely help." At this moment, Lin Tao's eyes suddenly lit up. He didn't expect his uncle to be so direct and straightforward, and his attitude was so clear. He knew that Tang Goen had long hated the Hua family, especially the despicable methods of Hua Kitchen. Tang Goen then gnashed his teeth and said, "In fact, I was wary of real estate businessmen like the Hua family from the beginning, especially Hua Kitchen. But that guy once saved my life, so I endured and maintained a superficial relationship with him." Lin Tao's heart moved. His uncle's trump card was finally revealed. But I gradually realized that my worries were not wrong. Hua Kitchen was not only scheming, but he also schemed against me. The kidnapping case a year ago was actually planned by Hua Kitchen, with the purpose of getting close to Tang Chuan and obtaining information about the development project of the university town. Lin Tao was surprised that Hua Kitchen, who was controlling everything behind the scenes, had actually been doing all these things a long time ago. And it was precisely for this project that he had been hiding his true colors, wanting to get closer to Tang Chuan and Tang Goen. So, the Hua family is not trustworthy, Tang Goen said in a serious tone. If you have a way to bring down the Hua family, don't hesitate. I will fully support you. Lin Tao's eyes, and he had already decided on the next move in his mind. He knew that the Hua family had no way out, and Tang Goen's family finally decided to fight alongside him and launch a fatal blow to the Hua family. Chapter 507, the beginning of the Hua family's downfall. The Hua family is finished. Tang Chuan looked at the situation in front of him, his heart churning. The brother who used to stand shoulder to shoulder with Hua Kitchen has now become his biggest enemy. Hua Kitchen, you bastard! How dare you plot against me behind my back? Tang Chuan clenched his fists, angry as fire. The pain and guilt in his heart mixed into an unspeakable emotion. The brotherhood that once existed turned out to be the beginning of his fall into the abyss. Tang Goen and others on the side were also very angry, especially Su Shuyun, whose eyes were almost spitting fire. He went too far. It's really despicable. Why didn't I see that he had such a sinister intention? Tang Chuan's heart was churning, but when he saw Lin Tao's smiling eyes, he suddenly calmed down. Cousin, that's right. This is what I expected from the beginning. Lin Tao's voice was neither hurried nor slow. Hua Kitchen's methods are really insidious. However, we have a better chance. Seeing the expressions of his uncle's family gradually solemn, Lin Tao was secretly proud in his heart, and he couldn't help but make his own comments in his heart. These guys, although they look a little stupid, they are really good at seizing opportunities. Everything the Hua family did is simply a breakthrough for me. Tang Chuan looked at Lin Tao at this time, with a hint of doubt in his eyes. Are you sure Hua Kitchen will be so easily fooled? Don't worry. Hua Kitchen never thought that he had been tricked by us. Lin Tao smiled like a cunning fox. I have prepared a big pit for him. He just needs to jump in, and the rest is left to us. What are you going to do? Tang Goen asked. Lin Tao smiled. It's very simple. Take advantage of his self-righteous brotherhood. What Hua Kitchen wants is the project information of the university town, and we will give him the information. Of course, it has to be fake. Tang Chuan suddenly came to his senses, and the plan in front of him became clear. Ah, I understand. False information. That's right. The Hua family is in urgent need of this project to stabilize the situation. As long as he gets the false information, given his character, he will definitely be eager to act. Then, we can watch him bring shame upon himself. Lin Tao's tone was full of disdain. This is not the first time we have set up such a situation. Tang Chuan patted his chest. Leave it to me. I'm an actor, so I have no problem acting. No matter how cunning he is, I can still fool him. By the way, cousin, Tang Chuan's eyes suddenly lit up. Hua Kitchen contacted me this morning and said he wanted to meet me in the evening. Oh, it seems he's not giving up yet. Lin Tao raised his eyebrows slightly. Then tonight, let's give him a surprise. Lin Tao looked at the message Tang Chuan sent to agree to the date and sneered in his heart. Hua Kitchen really didn't miss any opportunity. What would happen tonight? He couldn't wait to see it all. Chapter 508, Hua Kitchen's confidence and ultimate counterattack. In the Hua family's luxurious mansion, Hua Kitchen was lying on the bed with a gloomy look in his eyes. He received a report about the family crisis. His expression was as cold as ice. Tell those idiots that the Hua family will solve this crisis. Whoever dares to make trouble at this time, Hua Kitchen will make them regret it. Uncle Fu beside him couldn't help but frown. Master, will the kid from the Tang family really help you? The Hua family is in such a tight spot now. Who dares to get close to us? Don't worry, Uncle Fu. Hua Kitchen sneered. Tang Chuan, that kid, is a person who puts emotions first. I saved his life. How could he not stand on my side? But Uncle Fu was not so optimistic. He had seen a lot and had seen Hua Kitchen's character. He thought that Tang Chuan would not help him unconditionally. Master, will Tang Chuan be so obedient? Human nature is complicated, especially his impulsive character. You underestimated him. Hua Kitchen smiled confidently. The relationship between Tang Chuan and me is more solid than you think. He was convinced that Tang Chuan would definitely stand up for the life-saving grace. After all, he was the mastermind behind Tang Chuan's kidnapping in the past. Even if the truth was unknown to outsiders, Tang Chuan would not dare to forget the favor he owed him. However, Hua Kitchen never expected that his confidence would collapse in just a few hours. Uncle Fu, don't worry, Hua Kitchen added. As long as Tang Chuan stands up, I can turn the tables and the whole family will be able to regain control of the situation. However, the only variable may be that kid Lin Tao. What Kitchen's tone was slightly worried. He has always been at odds with the Tang family, and now he is suddenly so close. Is it possible he is also involved? Uncle Fu was stunned. His face changed slightly, but then he shook his head. Master, don't worry, Lin Tao is just a small role. Tang Chuan can be taken down by you, it can. Lin Tao. What Kitchen nodded. Yes, he is just a small role. However, at this moment, What Kitchen's phone screen lit up. Did Tang Chuan reply? What Kitchen quickly opened WeChat and saw Tang Chuan's brief reply. I'll be on time tonight. What Kitchen's face suddenly showed a smile of confidence. Oh, it's true. However, What Kitchen's expression suddenly changed. Oh no! He suddenly felt uncomfortable and had a sharp pain in his stomach. Almost immediately, he realized that he had been fooled. A scam seemed to be quietly approaching. Chapter 509. In the luxurious bedroom, What Kitchen lay slumped on the wide bed, his face so gloomy that it seemed as if water could drip out of it.